Have you ever noticed how some parts of you just begin to go quiet, not because of disease, not because of age, but because you stopped touching them, stopped claiming them, stopped believing they mattered? For many people after 60, the most personal kind of connection, self-touch, self-intimacy, simply fades away. Not by choice, but by culture, by silence, by shame we were never meant to carry. And in that silence, something deeper begins to slip away. Circulation, sleep, confidence, joy, even the feeling that you still belong to yourself. But here's the gentle truth. This has never been about lust. It's always been about life. Your life, the one that's still listening. Before we go any further, I'd love to know which city are you watching from. Type it in the comments below. Let's not be strangers. And if this message already speaks to something, in you tap, like share this video with a friend who may need it, and subscribe for more quiet truths made just for you. Part 1. The body reacts to what it stops receiving. Think about what happens when you stop using a muscle. Over time, it shrinks, it weakens, it forgets how to do what it was made for. Now apply that same truth to a part of your body that no one talks about: your sexual organs. You see, the body doesn't differentiate between a bicep and a pelvic nerve. Use it and it stays alive. Ignore it and it begins to fade. Just like your legs need walking and your lungs need breathing, your sexual system, yes, even in your 70s and 80s, needs care, attention, and regular activation. When you stop engaging with this part of yourself through intimacy or self-touch, the body quietly begins to shift. Circulation slows in the pelvic area. Nerve endings become less responsive. Tissues begin to lose elasticity, and you may start to feel it, a dull ache you never noticed before, a stiffness or numbness, a dryness that wasn't there last year, or even just nothing, a flatness, disconnection. For men, this loss of stimulation can lead to congestion in the prostate, a buildup of fluid that causes pressure discomfort, and over time increases the risk of prostate enlargement. That's the reason why some men start waking up 2 or 3 times a night to pee or feel like they can't fully empty their bladder. It's not just age, it's lack of activity. And for women, the story is just as real. When self-touch stops, vaginal tissues can become dry, irritated, and less sensitive. What once brought comfort now brings hesitation or even pain. Over time, many women begin to feel estranged from their own bodies, as if a part of themselves has quietly closed the door. And the truth is, in some ways, it has. But here's the good news: this isn't permanent. The body remembers. And like any muscle, it can wake up again. Even gentle, consistent self-touch, once or twice a week, can restore blood flow, maintain tissue softness, and help preserve sensitivity. It doesn't need to be sexual in the way society taught us. It doesn't need to be goal-oriented. It just needs to be present, mindful, kind. It's not about chasing passion. It's about keeping the doors open, about telling your body you still matter. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't skip brushing just because you're getting older. You do it to maintain health, prevent problems, and feel fresh and whole. This is no different. It's not indulgence. It's maintenance. It's dignity. It's ownership of your own well-being. And perhaps most importantly, it's never too late to begin again. Whether you're 67 like Harold in Tallahassee, who rediscovered this connection after prostate surgery, or 73 like Lillian in Montana, who once believed intimacy was over until she decided to gently reconnect with her body. The message is the same. Your body still knows how to feel. It just needs your permission. Part 2. The emotional cost of disconnecting from your own body. Have you ever looked in the mirror and felt like you were staring at a stranger, not because of wrinkles, not because of age, but because you've stopped feeling at home in your own skin? This happens more often than people talk about. As we grow older, life shifts. Children move out, friends pass on, days feel longer, And somewhere in all that quiet, something else begins to drift away: your connection to yourself. You stop touching your body not just intimately but lovingly. You wash, you dress, you take your pills, but you do it like a task, not a moment of care. You begin to treat your body like a machine to be maintained, not a sacred home that carried you through decades of joy, loss, laughter, and growth. For many older adults, this disconnect becomes emotional. You may not even notice it at first. A subtle drop in interest, a fading spark, a quiet voice inside whispering that maybe your time for pleasure, softness, or touch has passed. Eleanor, a retired nurse from Virginia, once told me I didn't feel like a woman anymore. I just felt like a body waiting. That kind of loss doesn't come from age, it comes from disconnection. But here's the healing truth. You don't need a partner to feel loved. You don't need someone else to make you feel whole. You need presence, your own. That's where self-touch, yes, even masturbation, becomes something deeper than desire. It becomes a way back home to yourself. This isn't about lust. It's about intimacy with your own spirit. Even a gentle practice of self-connection can say, I still matter. I still feel. I still belong to this life. When you stop touching yourself, your heart doesn't just go quiet, it begins to harden. And slowly that shows up in the way you speak, the way you look at others, even the way you let people love you. Over time, you might notice it's harder to smile freely, to laugh from the belly, to hold someone's gaze. You become more reserved, more distant. Not because you want to, but because something inside you closed the door to tenderness. But that door isn't locked, and you hold the key. When you reconnect with yourself, even privately, the warmth returns. Not just in your body, but in how you show up in the world. You feel a little more open, a little more alive. Suddenly, music moves you again. Hugs feel fuller. Loneliness softens into solitude. And being alone no longer means being unloved. Self-touch reminds you that love doesn't begin with someone else. It begins with you. Like Margaret, 74, from Oregon, who said, "When I started touching myself with kindness again, I stopped waiting for someone else to remind me I was beautiful. I started believing it myself." You don't need a lover to feel connected. You need a moment of presence. A moment that says, this body is still mine. This life is still mine, and I am still here. Part 3. The hidden link to prostate health and hormone balance. For many men over 60, nighttime becomes a battle. You lie down hoping for rest, but within an hour or two, you're back on your feet heading to the bathroom again. By morning, your sleep is broken, your energy low, and your body feels like it never fully recovered. It's easy to chalk it up to aging. But what if this discomfort wasn't just about getting older? What if it had something to do with what you've stopped doing? Let's talk honestly about something that doesn't get enough attention. Your prostate. This small gland, no bigger than a walnut, plays a big role in how your body functions. It supports your ability to urinate, your sexual response, and even how you feel day to day. What most men don't know is that regular ejaculation, whether through intimacy or self-stimulation, is one of the most natural ways to keep the prostate healthy. Without it, fluid can build up. That stagnation creates pressure and irritation, leading to something called benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, an enlargement of the prostate that affects millions of men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond. Symptoms like frequent urination, feeling like your bladder's never quite empty, trouble starting or stopping the flow. These issues are frustrating, and they take a toll not just physically, but emotionally too. Now here's what's surprising. Something as simple as releasing that pressure naturally can help. You don't need pills to do it. You need to understand how your body works and work with it, not against it. Take Walter, 68, from Minneapolis. After months of sleep disruption and rising frustration, he began a gentle, regular self-care routine just twice a week. Within a month, his nighttime bathroom trips had reduced, and he reported sleeping more soundly than he had in years. But prostate health is only part of the story. Let's talk about what happens in your brain. Every time you experience climax, whether with a partner or on your own, your brain releases a powerful chemical cocktail. Dopamine, the motivator, lifts your mood and focus. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, soothes stress and brings a sense of peace. Endorphins, your natural pain relievers, ease tension in your muscles and joints. Prolactin, which supports restful sleep and recovery. These are not just feel-good chemicals. They are life-preserving hormones, especially for aging men. When you stop experiencing regular release, these hormones begin to decline. And what fills the gap? Insomnia, irritability, foggy thinking, a sense that you're just off. It's not your mind playing tricks. It's your chemistry calling for attention. Here's the truth. You don't need to chase performance to feel better. You don't need a prescription to restore balance. You need to return to what your body is quietly asking for, release, relief, and reconnection. Because the body was never designed to simply endure. It was designed to respond. And your prostate, your sleep, your mood, and your memory, they're still listening. All they need is your permission to come alive again. Part 4. Self-touch as medicine for the heart, not just the body. Let me ask you something that rarely gets spoken aloud. When was the last time someone touched you with warmth, with care, with presence, not just a handshake, not a pat on the back, but real touch, the kind that says, I see you, you matter, you're still here. For many older adults, that kind of touch becomes a memory. Children grow up, spouses pass, friends become fewer, and one day, without even realizing it, you go entire weeks, maybe months, without truly being touched. And here's what's harder to admit. Sometimes we stop touching ourselves too. Not in a sexual way, but in the most basic human sense. We stop placing our hands gently on our chest when we breathe. We rush through showers. We dress in silence. We take our medication like a machine, efficient but hollow. And slowly, quietly, something deeper begins to shift. We lose the sense that our body is still ours. But what if that could change, not through another person, but through a choice you make for yourself? Because here's the gentle truth. Touch is medicine, even when it comes from you. Self-touch, especially in later life, is not indulgence. It's care. It's presence. It's a way of saying, I haven't forgotten you. I'm still listening. When you touch your own body with awareness, not to perform, not to prove anything, but simply to feel, something softens. Something returns. Your breathing slows. Your nervous system calms. You remember that you're not just surviving. You're still capable of being, of living, sensing, connecting. For some, that might begin as something as simple as applying lotion with care. For others, it becomes a slow, mindful act of self-pleasure, not driven by fantasy, but by presence. No pressure, no rush, just being with yourself moment by moment. That's what makes it powerful. That's what makes it healing. Gerald, 75, from Colorado, once said, after hearing this message, I used to feel like my body was a burden, just something I carried from room to room. But after I started practicing touch with intention, I felt like I came back home to myself. And he's not alone. There's something sacred about reclaiming your own physical space, about touching yourself not with shame, but with kindness, not for thrill, but for comfort, not to escape, but to arrive. This is what many have begun calling meditative self-touch, a private ritual, quiet and grounding, that brings you back into your skin and back into your spirit. Because in a world that often tells older adults to dim down, to disappear quietly, this simple act says the opposite. I am still here. I still belong. I am still worthy of softness. Whether you're living alone in a house that once felt full, or navigating changes in your health or confidence, this is a way to anchor yourself, to offer tenderness when the world forgets to. So let go of the old labels. Let go of the voices that call this act shameful or selfish, and replace them with something truer, deeper, kinder. because your body has carried you this far, and it deserves now more than ever to be held not only by others, but by you. Part 5. Intimacy without a partner. A senior's right. There's a quiet grief that many older adults carry, not the grief of death exactly, but of distance, of silence that creeps in after a spouse passes, of a bed that used to feel full, now cool and wide, of years spent nurturing a relationship only to now face the evenings alone. And in that stillness, a thought begins to whisper, maybe that part of life is over. Maybe intimacy just isn't for me anymore. But here's what I want you to hear. Intimacy does not end when a partner is gone. It does not end after a divorce. It does not end just because you live alone. Intimacy, real intimacy, is not something someone else gives you. It's something you can awaken within yourself anytime you choose. Carolyn, 72, from Indiana, shared something powerful. She said, after my husband passed, I didn't miss sex as much as I missed being held, being seen, being reminded that I still mattered in that way. And so she began to explore something new, not to replace him, but to reclaim her. She started small, just holding her own hand during moments of anxiety. Later, she explored self-touch, and eventually she allowed herself moments of self-pleasure, not as escape, but as healing. A way to whisper to herself, I am still alive. I still belong to this body. This is what many older adults discover, often in private, often in silence. You don't need a partner to feel connected. You don't need someone else to say you're beautiful to know it's true. You don't have to wait for another to invite you into your own heart. Self-intimacy through touch, through presence, through self-pleasure isn't a poor substitute. It's a radical act of self-trust. It's how you remember you are still capable of feeling warmth, of being tender, of relaxing into your own skin without guilt or shame. And the beautiful ripple effect. When you begin to treat yourself with that level of compassion, it changes how you experience life. You sleep more deeply. The loneliness doesn't bite as hard. You move through your day with a little more grace and a little less ache. Not because someone else showed up, but because you did. Because you chose to stop waiting. You chose to stop defining closeness by someone else's presence. You chose to say, even now, especially now, I deserve this closeness. And maybe most importantly, you gave yourself permission. Permission to light a candle before bed, to slow down and notice your breath, to place your hands on your chest or belly or thighs, not with urgency but with kindness, to close your eyes and imagine someone holding you until you realize that someone can be you. Intimacy doesn't vanish with time. It just changes form. It softens, deepens, becomes quieter, but no less sacred. So if you've been carrying the belief that your days of closeness are behind you, let this be the moment you lay that burden down. Because no matter your age, your relationship status, or how long it's been, you still deserve to feel connected. You still deserve to feel desired. You still deserve to feel home within yourself. Part 6. Letting go of shame. Plus, practical self-care tips. If you grew up in a time when touching yourself was called shameful, if you were told it was sinful, inappropriate, dirty, you're not alone. For decades, many of us carried those beliefs like invisible bricks stacked by voices we trusted, our parents, our pastors, even our doctors. And over time, those messages became our own inner voice, quietly whispering, "You're too old for this. You shouldn't need this. This part of life is behind you." But here's the truth no one told you growing up. Self-touch is not wrong. It's not shameful. And it's not something you have to give up with age. In fact, letting go of that shame may be one of the most healing choices you ever make. Because freedom, real freedom, is not just about walking without a cane or living independently. It's about choosing to care for yourself in the way your body needs, without guilt, without apology, without silence. It's time to change the story. from secrecy to safety, from judgment to gentleness, from shame to sovereignty. And if you're wondering how to begin again after all these years, let's walk through it together. Start simple. Find a space where you feel at ease. It doesn't have to be fancy, just private, quiet, and undisturbed. Turn off the noise, TV, phones, distractions. Maybe dim the lights or light a candle if that brings calm. This is your time. It's not for anyone else. It's yours. If dryness has been an issue, consider using a gentle lubricant. There's no shame in needing it. In fact, it's a smart, caring step. Lubrication not only protects delicate skin, but also enhances comfort and sensation. Now take your time. This isn't about rushing to an end. It's not about performance, it's about presence. Let your hands move slowly. Let your attention rest on how your body feels, not how it should feel or what used to feel different. Just this moment, just this body, just you. And if you don't feel much at first, that's okay. The body remembers slowly, like an old song coming back note by note. Trust the rhythm of return. For some, this becomes a meditative practice, a quiet, tender ritual, not always sexual, sometimes simply soothing. A way to say, I haven't forgotten you, I'm still here. Like Dennis, 76, from Ohio, who shared, I spent most of my life thinking self-pleasure was something I should have grown out of. But now I see it was never about age. It was about learning how to treat myself with kindness. Because at this stage in life, self-touch is no longer about passion, it's about peace. It's not about craving, it's about comfort. And most of all, it's not about fantasy, it's about dignity. So release the old voices. Release the shame that was never yours to begin with. You don't need permission. You don't need a reason. You just need presence. And in that presence, your body softens. Your breath deepens. Your heart, long neglected, begins to speak again. Self-intimacy at this age is not a secret. It's a form of self-respect. It is meditation. It is healing. And yes, it is your birthright. If you've made it this far, let this be your reminder. You are not fading. You are evolving. Aging does not mean the end of intimacy, of desire, or of care. It means deepening, softening, coming home to yourself in a way that's quieter, yes, but more profound than ever before. This wasn't a conversation about lust. It was about life, about remembering that even now, especially now, you are still worthy of touch, of comfort, of connection. You've spent a lifetime giving to others, showing up, doing the hard things. Now it's your turn to receive. And sometimes that begins with the most intimate act of all, reclaiming your own body with presence and kindness. Masturbation in this chapter of life is not indulgent. It's not shameful. It is sacred. It is a way to say, I still belong here. I still feel. I still matter. Whether it's once a week, once a month, or just a moment of quiet touch before bed, it all counts. It all heals. Your body has not given up on you, and you do not need permission to feel alive. So as we close this video, I invite you to pause and reflect. What part of this message spoke to you the most? Type yes in the comments if you feel seen today. And if this video gave you even a moment of peace or hope or understanding, please tap, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more truth-centered health advice made just for you. You're not alone on this journey, and you're never too old to come back to yourself with tenderness, courage, and care.